On this episode of Ask Coach Wendy, we're talking about the fears of open water swimming and how to get over that. And Coach Wendy, this is a big factor because we're in the pool almost, 3, 4 times a week, and then we have to go on race day in the open water with thousands of our new friends. What are things you tell your athletes on getting over some of the fears of open water swimming?
Well, there's a few, probably three or four most common fears. Number one, cold water. For me, cold water is anything that's under 65. But more importantly, if you do an early season race and the water's like 58 or, below 60, it's very breathtaking. So cold water is the biggest number one, I would say, fear. Number two is taking that plunge and it's brown. You don't see a line, you don't see anything. If you've never experienced that beforehand, it's scary. I mean, even for me, 24 years ago at my first triathlon, collegiate athlete diving in open water, I swam as fast as I could because I didn't like it. Um, Number three is that not having the lane line. And, I take athletes out, just about 10 or 15 yards from the shore. But because it's still a big body of water, even though they're close to shore, there's no lane line enclosing them. So that sparks some fear. And I think the fourth thing, most common fear, is the bodies and getting kicked and punched. And, just really how do you deal with that? So let's go back to number one, the cold water. I like to do at least a 10-minute water acclimatization where I have athletes get in, get out, get in, get out, get in and out at least 4 times. The first time is waist deep, the second time is shoulder deep, the third time is they take the plunge, get out again, because that getting out, their body temperature is warming up. They're getting warm in the wetsuit with their body temperature, so that cold water is not so cold every time they get in. So by that fourth or fifth time, they're ready to take the plunge and actually do some warming up. It's all about breath control, bobbing. Go back to when you learned how to bob when you were 6 years old. That's definitely a must, even as an adult in open water. Even if the water's warm, you got to catch your breath. Just keep telling yourself to relax. Then going back to not being able to see anything, I think you get over that just by practicing in open water, experiencing on a repetitive basis, oh yeah, I can't see anything. Some lakes are more murkier than others, so it just depends where you're going to swim. As far as getting used to swimming with bodies, a tight swim start, again, I think that's a lot of an experience thing. I always tell everyone I coach, someone's got to start in the middle, but it doesn't have to be you. I mean, I look back at every Ironman. I'm in front row and center, and I look back, and I'm scared. I'm like, oh my God, what if all these people swim on top of me? What am I going to do? It's never happened, but it still goes through my head. The best thing to do, especially if you're a beginner and inexperienced, you just want to either start in the back and let your wave go, but know that's the wave behind you could get you, or you want to start kind of on the edge and kind of swim on an angle. If you're a beginner, you're not going to win the race. Don't worry about it. Don't try to win it in the swim. The most important thing is just staying calm and relaxed and getting some open water swim practices with your local tri group or your local community, because I know here in Colorado, there's so many opportunities to get used to the open water swimming. So it's just practice.
One example a coach told me once is that if you are, limited to a pool, is maybe swim real close to somebody in a pool and practice bumping side to side so you can work on your balance and that body contact.
Yeah, we've had them. I've had masters classes that I've coached. You got 20 athletes, you go in one lane. So you're in one lane with the lane lines and you're all trying to hold onto the wall. And I just say, ready, set, go. And that's actually a fun exercise. Also swimming with your eyes closed. I've done it. I've recommended it. I don't know how successful it is, but getting in the water and swimming with your eyes closed, because then you really can't see anything. Then you know how straight or not you're going to swim. That's kind of a fun exercise. I've also had groups take out the lane lines in the pool that they practice in, so it's a little bit more bigger body of water, and then they practice in that as well.
I know you're so experienced when it comes to swimming. And what's your take on practicing breathing every other or left side, right side? Because some people are pretty dominant on one side.
So that's a good one. Sighting in open water is important. So I want to back up and talk about sighting, because sighting, I always teach alligator eyes. So whether you're a left side breather or a right side breather doesn't matter, because when you sight, you're looking up. So obviously, if the buoys are to your right, if you breathe right, you're going to see them more frequently. But because you're sighting and you're looking up at that goggle level, I'm not one that says bilateral breathing is going to help you sight better or not. The thing that I like to stress is look up and look up frequently. And then breathe to the side that you're most comfortable breathing. I know for me, I'm a bilateral breather in the pool, but more frequently a dominant right side breather in open water. But if you're sighting correctly and you're sighting frequently, it doesn't matter.
I have a tendency to veer one side, and I'm just horrible when it comes to open water. Would you suggest maybe every 4 or every 6 strokes before you do that sight, or what's kind of a range that you should go for?
Every 2, 1, 2.
Really, that quickly?
So I recommend that, and that's how I coach, every 1, 2 until you round the first buoy. Because the worst thing is being turned around. The current might turn you around. The worst thing is being turned around and you haven't even gotten to the first buoy yet. Usually once you're past the first buoy, there's no more sun glare. You're in your space. There's not as much bodies, and then you're on track. So then you can go into your normal, regular, somewhat kind of breathing pattern. But I know my breathing pattern in open water tends to be 4 or 5 strokes, but I still sight before every breath in open water the whole entire way. I just realized that this year, how frequently I sight, but I'm a very straight shot. I don't go off course at all, ever.
If you have a question for Wendy, please use the hashtag AskCoachWendy on Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube. Thanks very much, Coach. Great tips when it comes to open water swimming. Thanks.
Thank you.